Unstoppable. The girl who conquered the tide. Kauai, Hawaii, October 2003. To understand Bethany Hamilton, you first have to understand the ocean. For most people, the ocean is a place to visit, a vacation spot. But for Bethany, a 13-year-old girl with sun-bleached hair and salt running through her veins, the ocean was not a place, it was a state of being. It was her sanctuary, her playground, and her church. Born into a family of surfers, Bethany could glide across the water before she could walk steadily on land. By her early teens, she was already a phenomenon, a rising star with a natural grace and a fierce competitive edge. The surfing community in the United States whispered her name as the next big thing. A future world champion, her path seemed destined, paved with gold medals and endless summers. But life, like the ocean, is unpredictable. It can be calm and generous one moment, and violently chaotic the next. The day the music stopped. It was Halloween morning, a day that dawned with the promise of perfect surf at Tunnels Beach. The water was crystal clear, a mesmerizing turquoise that masked the depths below. Bethany was lounging on her board, her left arm dangling casually in the cool water, waiting for the next set of waves. It was a moment of pure peace. There was no ominous music, no warning splash. In a split second, a 14-foot tiger shark, a silent, lethal shadow from the deep, surged upward. The attack was sudden and catastrophic. In a single, violent motion, the shark severed Bethany's left arm just below the shoulder. The water around her turned crimson. Panic should have been the natural response. Screaming, thrashing, hysteria, but something else took over, a primal, steely resolve. Bethany paddled toward her friends with her one remaining arm. "I got attacked by a shark," she said, her voice trembling but clear. By the time she reached the shore, she had lost 60% of her blood. She survived. The paramedics called it a miracle. But as she woke up in the sterile white room of the hospital, the miracle felt more like a cruel joke. The longest month. The physical pain was excruciating, but the emotional agony was a heavier burden. Bethany looked at the empty space where her arm used to be. For a surfer, balance is everything. Paddling requires symmetry and power. How could she ever navigate the crushing force of the waves with only one arm? The world outside began to write her obituary, not of her life, but of her spirit. "It's a tragedy," people whispered. "Her career is over. She'll never go back in the water." Who could blame her? She'll live in fear forever. In the quiet of her recovery, Bethany grappled with a terrifying identity crisis. If she wasn't a surfer, who was she? She was a bird with a broken wing, grounded while the rest of the flock took flight. Tears were shed, not for the arm she lost, but for the future that seemed to have vanished with it. But Bethany possessed something that the shark couldn't bite off. She had the heart of a soul surfer. The return. Just 1 month after the attack, on Thanksgiving Day, Bethany walked back to the beach. Her stitches were barely healed. The trauma was fresh. She waded into the water. The fear was there, palpable and cold, tightening her chest. Every shadow beneath the surface looked like a monster. But the desire to ride the waves was a burning fire that eclipsed the cold fear. She paddled out. The first attempt was a disaster. She tried to pop up, the explosive movement from lying to standing, and the imbalance sent her crashing into the reef. She swallowed salt water. She tried again. Crash. And again. Crash. Frustration, hot and bitter, welled up in her throat. The thing that used to be as natural as breathing was now an impossible physics equation. She lay on her board, sobbing, ready to paddle in and never look back. She was ready to accept the label of victim. Then, her father, who was in the water with her, offered a piece of advice that would change her trajectory. He didn't offer pity. He said, "Bethany, you can't try to surf the way you used to. You have to find a new way." It was a revelation. She couldn't reclaim her arm, but she could reinvent her method. Reforging the steel. Bethany went to work. She learned to kick her legs harder to compensate for the lost paddle power. She learned to position her feet differently to center her gravity. She learned to read the ocean not just with her eyes, but with her intuition. 2 years later, Bethany Hamilton arrived at the NSSA National Championships. She didn't enter a special division for disabled athletes. She entered the open division, competing against the best able-bodied surfers in the country. The conditions were rough. The waves were towering, unforgiving walls of water. Spectators on the beach watched with bated breath. They saw a girl with one arm paddling into the impact zone. They expected her to survive the heat, they didn't expect her to dominate it. In the final minutes, a massive set rolled in. While others hesitated, Bethany turned her board. With furious kicks and a single arm churning the water, she caught the giant. She popped up perfectly. She dropped down the face of the wave, carving through the water with precision, power, and grace. Her empty sleeve fluttered in the wind, not as a symbol of loss, but as a banner of defiance. She slashed off the top of the wave, spraying mist into the air, completely in control. The crowd erupted. It wasn't pity applause. It was the roar of respect for a warrior. That day, Bethany Hamilton didn't just participate. She won. She was crowned the national champion. The true meaning of courage. Standing on the podium, holding the trophy with her one strong arm, Bethany became an icon. But her victory wasn't about the medal cup, it was about the message she embodied. In later interviews, she shared a perspective that resonated with millions of Americans and people around the globe. "I wouldn't change what happened to me," she said, "because if I had two arms, I might have been a better surfer. But I wouldn't be here today, able to tell you that you can overcome anything. Life is full of sharks, tragedy, loss, failure. You can let them consume you, or you can choose to get back on the board." Bethany Hamilton taught the world a profound lesson about the nature of bravery. Courage is not the absence of fear. Bethany was afraid. She feared the water, she feared failure, she feared the stares of strangers. Courage is feeling that fear, feeling your hands shake and your heart race, and paddling out anyway. She proved that we are not defined by what is taken from us, but by what we do with what remains. She showed us that you don't need two arms to touch the sky, you just need a spirit that refuses to break. So, whatever challenge you are facing today, whatever shark has taken a bite out of your life, remember the girl on the surfboard. Do not let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. Bind your wounds, recalibrate your balance, and look toward the horizon. Because the best wave of your life is still out there, waiting for you to ride it. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss any meaningful stories.